Yeah, I'm just trying to see if I got enough stuff to watch this eclipse on Monday. I don't know. I figured on using my welding helmet. I don't know if I gotta go get a battery for it or not. Because it should auto darken when I look up, but it doesn't, especially if you look at the sun. And it's funny, every time I'm welding, every time I'm trying to line up something, the damn thing blacks out on me. You know, it's got sensitivity settings, and I've tried them both ways. Like I say, it should black out when I look up at the sun, but it just flickers. So, but the low battery light's not on. I took the battery out and looked at it, and don't see nothing wrong with it, but I think maybe I'm going to have to try a new battery in it. Because if this don't work, I probably won't be able to look at it. Because I don't have none of them fancy glasses. See, I figured I could never figure out what's the big deal about them cheap glasses, you know, for $1 or $2. And I looked it up, and they say you can need, you know, I asked, Googled, can you use a welding helmet to look at a solar eclipse? And it says you need 10 to 13, well, it depends which link you look at. One said 9, a couple said 10, a couple said 11. But it says basically you can. So then I'm thinking like, well, as thick as this lens is and stuff, and as dark as it gets, how can them cheap $2, you know, I've seen people advertising around here for $2 or whatever, $9 even. How can you be able to look at the sun with something that cheap? Well, my brother, he did get a pair of them things, and they are blacked. So, I mean, it's not necessarily the thickness of the glass, it's what, basically the coating. So you could have something thin and be darked out enough. But I'm gonna have to go tomorrow. I only got 2 days. It should be someplace open tomorrow. If I can find a battery. It's one of them little button batteries. Well, it's about the size of a quarter, but 3-volt button battery. See if that makes a difference. If not, somewhere around here I have, and it should be back there with my torches. That's where it should be. The goggles that came with the torch set I got. But I don't know if them are dark enough. You know, I'm not that well versed on that stuff. I think a torch might only be like a 5 or 6 rated lens, not a 9. And I don't know how much I would video of it, because that's another thing I'm seeing and commented about. You know, videotaping with a camera, your phone or whatever, staring directly at the sun is as damaging to them as your eyes. It will burn the circuits or burn the image into the, what do you want to say, resins or coatings. So it's probably not a good idea unless you have the proper filter on your phone. Once it reaches total eclipse, you can look at that with the naked eye. But you can't look at it as it's covering up. Mouse nest in them. Yeah, I'll clean that out. Yeah, I don't think these are dark enough. I'll have to do some research on that too. Gotta be cleaned up better. Probably ain't gonna show no different. We can see through them fairly easy, but I don't know if they're darker, but I don't know if it's gonna offer enough protection. Because like I said, I think these might be like a 5 or 6 lens. I know you don't need as much protection to run a torch as you do a welder. But yeah, so that's trying to figure out here right now. Because you got them issues, like right now, it's pretty bright. So far, it looks like we're going to have the weather to view it here. You look at the daily forecast for Monday, they have a 40% chance of rain. But you go to the hourly for Monday, like 10 o'clock in the morning, it's like a 20% chance of rain. And by the time you get to 2 o'clock, I guess it's supposed to start here around 2:20, somewhere in that range, till about 4 o'clock. And by 2 o'clock, it's only like a 5% chance of rain. A couple deer down there in the valley, probably can't see them. But I don't know, they say they're talking like it's the end of the world or something. My God. Closing the schools and stuff. I can kind of understand. But they're making it act like there's never been a solar eclipse before. Now, some of the things I always find interesting is like when people try to link this, that, and the other thing, and put a bigger meaning on stuff. I was watching a clip of a video here the other day. Yeah, we had a solar eclipse because they want to use symbolism for everything. The solar eclipse 7 years ago, and that one went, let's see, this is north this way. This one went from, well, basically it goes from west to east. Like this one's going from south to north because the shadow is always the opposite of the light. So if the light is going to the right, your shadow goes to the left. Well, this would be right, this is left, whichever. But that one basically went from west to east. Now, what they were pointing out on that, now this was 7 years ago, that solar eclipse passed through 7 cities named Salem. And in the Bible, Salem means peace. Now, this is what they're saying. I'll let you guys out in a minute. Now, this one's going from south to north. And it's going to be passing through 7 cities named, and I'm going to mispronounce this, Nirvana. And like I said, I've seen this on a couple different videos. And then another one, the guy says backwards, Nirvana is in heaven. So you got 7, 7, and 7. Peace in heaven is what they're making the sign of the cross. Now, I could add a little bit more onto that, and depending how you want to read it, that from Monday, April 8th, it's 7 months to the election. Now, the election day is November 5th. Well, if you want to put biblical meanings into everything, what happened 3 days after Good Friday and Easter? So the election's supposed to be the biggest one in this world. Most countries having elections and all this stuff. That is that you got 7, 7, and 7. 7 months later, 3 days after that is November 8th. So is that all tied together to mean something? Now, like I say, how much you want to read into this stuff, because, you know, they'll show something like with the COVID, an address at a place is 333. Well, that's half of 666, which is an evil. All these numbers, dates, and geological signs and everything mean all kinds of crap. I mean, I find it interesting how people can link all that stuff together. I'm not going to say I believe that that's actually what it all means, but And then it's also kind of coincidental. You know, there's something more going on in this world than just what's on this world. I think there's something more of a higher level going on. That when you have NASA also going to be launching 3 rockets into the shadow of this eclipse, they say to measure temperature change in the atmosphere from the eclipse is one thing I heard. And then if you've ever heard this CERN particle accelerator over, I think it's in Sweden, where they're trying to smash protons together. And I say, I don't understand all this stuff. It makes sense to me when people explain it, but that smashing protons together could cause a chain reaction. You know, our universe was supposedly created from a big bang, from just nothing more than a pinpoint to what it is now, and all it takes is that little bit of a event to start something cataclysmic. You know, and like I say, if you want to tell you, if you ever watch that show Stargate, and that's what they're saying, it's the name of the town where this is at is based off of, named as a name for a serpent in mythological times. And you know, whether they're opening up a portal to let something in or something out. But I do believe there is something to this, because they did that. They call it the God particles, what they're trying to create, I guess. That they actually did smash protons back in 2012. And I did have a theory. You know, they say it could rip the space-time continuum, timelines running parallel and stuff. I do think we're drifting through timelines. Because I could think back to 2012. And I believe that was a changing point at some point. Because you think about back then, that's about the time when all this stuff started going ass backwards, and we're in like an opposite world that we're living in now, compared for morals and everything, compared to what's back in the 90s and 2000s, even the 70s and 80s. But like I say, in 2006, things were going good. I built this barn. By 2011, things were goddamn crap. I had so much problems with the manure pack stuff in here. I was backwards back then. I got things changed around by 2012. I started it up. By 2016, 17, I was reaching the highest production levels I've ever had. And then at that point, things started going back downhill, where nothing I did made a damn bit of difference. So since about 17, 18 is when my problems really started. And I really had high hopes back in 2022. If I was right on this 5-year loops, 2022 is going to be the year, it's going to be a turnaround for me, and I should be on a high right now. But nothing changed. Like I say, I had that all thought out, figured about that, and I was really hoping I was going to prove my point, but like I say, it didn't. So it's a toss-up. What do you think you can believe or not? I do believe there ain't nothing black and white. There's a little bit of truth in everything. And it's just a matter of what mix of truths you're getting. And I do believe things are going to change for the better, but it's going to take, we're going to need a big change for that. I suppose I better get a new bolt in that or rebolt that. It's a problem, these damn railroad ties dry out and then they split. Might have to do like I did here. Should have cut this off. I was in a hurry that one day. But this gave me new wood to screw into, because this front of this was all punk. I thought I really had a good one for there. This is the one I should have had over there. This is a good solid railroad tie yet. I got about 20 more of them. That's another thing. I'm always been tempted to change this one, but I don't know how easy it would be. I mean, it wouldn't change all that much. I probably could do it. Because I got another, I got another good 30 or 40 railroad ties. I know at least 20 of them are good solid squared ones. Because I worked out a deal with my cousin, the neighbor down here, actually has a bunch of railroad ties in an old gravel pit that they had. And because that's what they did one year in their fence. They used railroad ties for all their fence posts and stuff. And I went down there. I mean, Christ, they got to have close to 1,000, I would think, down there. They had a huge pile. And I bought a bunch of them off them. And I took my 25 bale wagon, 25-foot round bale wagon down there. And we loaded that up. I think we didn't count them putting them on. I counted taking them off. And I know I was over 120 railroad ties. And I was splitting out between me and my cousin, because he wanted to dig into the bank behind his house and use them as steps and a deck. And I put all the good ones off the side. Anything that had nice squared shoulders, make sure I got him the best ones. You know, I didn't give him nothing like this one. Like, say, if they were split out like up here, and unless they had 3 good faces, because this one could go down in the ground. But then he never did nothing with them. So I have the pile of railroad ties yet. But I tell you, that is one hell of a load. I have yet to stop that tractor pulling a hill that I couldn't pull high gear with the torque back. And I'm talking full silage wagons full of corn silage. And like I say, he's just down here. So I left his place, went across the flats down here, 7th gear. I knew I was way heavy. I wasn't pushing it or nothing. And then I came up, and this first hill below the barn here that I had to pull, I stalled out in the middle. I didn't stall it, but I came to a stop. I couldn't pull that hill. And I'm like, God, what am I going to do here now? Well, I just dropped it from high to low, so I was in 3rd gear, and I pulled that hill 3rd gear, and then I came the rest of the way up here 5th gear. And they say, it stopped my poor old International. But yeah, silage wagons, have bale wagon loaded up. Doesn't even face now. Ford, any of these hills around here, I got the same size load. I'm 6th gear pulling up on the big hills. That International, she'll pull it. Because when I get to that video, that's a sleeper tractor. It's a little bit more than what people would think it is. So, I guess I'll figure out what I'm going to do here for Monday. I'll try to get some video of it. I don't know, should be that close. Shows are supposed to be fairly sunny by then, so maybe it won't be too bad. And we'll get a little bit of clips of it. I'm sure everybody in the world's going to have them on there. I was really hoping to be stormy or something, because Erie is going to be a nightmare. I mean, everything's booked up. They're closing schools. They're basically telling people not to go to work. My brother works at the courthouse, and I don't think he's going to work Monday. And yeah, like I say, that's what's nice. Be out here in the middle of nowhere. I don't think I'm going to see anybody out here bothering us to look here. They're going to go, like I say, the peninsula up there on the lake, or somewhere else. But like I said, the way they're making it sound like, I almost want to make it sound like it's the end of the world. They're using it to cover something else. There's some other event that's going to happen that's going to go under the wire. Because I've also heard reports of like Homeland Security is stationing nuclear and biological experts in certain areas, like in Oklahoma, and other places are stationing the National Guard. And like I say, what NASA's saying they're doing, is it really what they're doing? So I mean, trust nobody nowadays, really. So I guess, I say, worst comes to worst, I have to look around here. We used to have some welding lenses. My dad had them from somewhere, for the old welding helmets. Somebody gave them a bunch of lenses. And like I say, if I can even set that up in a box or something that I can look through. Who knows? But like I say, not a good idea to look directly at it, and from a lot of what I'm hearing, you don't want to use your phone or a camera unless you have a special filter even to video the event, because you could ruin the lenses and stuff in your cameras. But I guess these morons want left out, and I gotta get some hay moved around. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch up with you later.